Old lady can barely recognize her grandson. What he does later makes her cry. Aiden's grandma could barely recognize her own grandson. He was successful to some extent, as one of his songs brought tears to her eyes, but the events that followed were tragic to say the least. Before the video starts, please subscribe to join our community. Your support helps us grow, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest content. Aiden was very close to his grandmother, Edith. His mother had abandoned him when he was a child, and his father died of an illness a few years later, so he had spent his entire life in boarding schools and was raised by his grandparents. Unfortunately, Aiden's grandfather died a few years later. Aiden's grandparents had small jobs and had seen a lot of hardship in their lives, so they wanted their grandson to pursue a stable profession. Edith especially had dreamed that Aiden would become a lawyer, but Aiden had completely different plans, as he had aspired to be a singer, contrary to his grandmother's wishes. Edith never took Aiden's dream of becoming a singer seriously. She was convinced he would pursue law, but as Aiden grew up and graduated from school, he started taking music lessons. He even ended up taking on a part-time job to support his passion, and when he got home from work, he'd sit next to Edith and sing songs for her. Edith was initially upset when she saw Aiden pursue music, but eventually she supported his dreams. Soon after, Aiden joined a professional course at the state university and left his family nest. He missed Edith every day and wanted to return to her as a successful singer. But sadly, that day never arrived. Aiden was on the way to his dorm one day when he received a call from the neighbors saying Edith had gone to the market and had not returned home until one of the neighbors spotted her wandering alone on the streets. When Aiden took her to the doctor, he learned Edith had Alzheimer's disease. The doctor said her dementia was becoming severe and she would require 24-hour monitoring. Aiden took time off from university and looked after her. During that time, Edith was doing fine, but when Aiden came to call her for dinner one day, she didn't recognize him. "Grandma, come, let's eat," Aiden shouted from the kitchen. "I've made your favorite soup today." But Edith did not reply. Aiden called her once again. "Grandma, are you there? Come fast. The food is getting cold." Again, there was no response. Finally, he went upstairs to check on her and found that the door was open. "Grandma!" Aiden cried as he went inside. "What are you doing there? Get up!" Edith was sitting in a corner and staring at the floor. Aiden helped her and made her sit on her bed. "Are you okay? What were you doing on the floor?" "It's cold, Grandma. You will fall sick." Edith smiled at him. "Thank you for your help, but can you please take me home? My husband must be waiting for me." Aiden's eyes welled up. "Grandma, it's me, Aiden, your grandson. You are at home, Grandma. Grandpa left us a few years ago. But I don't have a grandson. I want to go home." "Can you take me home?" Edith repeated herself. Aiden somehow convinced her that he would take her to her home and fed her. But when Edith slept, he sat alone crying, not knowing what to do. When Edith awoke the next morning, she kept saying she wanted to go home, tired and exhausted from explaining to her that she was home. Aiden called a doctor. The doctor prescribed a few medications for her, but Aiden was advised to admit her to a nursing home where she would be constantly cared for. Aiden didn't have a choice. He accepted the doctor's advice and sent Edith off to a nursing home. He hated doing that, but he was relieved that his grandmother would be looked after. Several months passed like that. Edith stayed at the nursing home while Aiden was completing his course at the university. In the meantime, he went to the nursing home at least twice a week, but Edith didn't recognize him. When Aiden finished his degree, he took his grandmother home. He took care of her and sang songs for her, just as he had done when he first began his music career, hoping she would recognize him. Initially, it didn't help, but one day, when he sang a song that he had learned when he was a child, Edith started crying and recognized him too. Aiden couldn't believe his eyes. "Grandma, you finally... I'm Aiden, you grandson. You know me, right?" "Of course I do, Aiden." Edith laughed. "Why are you acting like I forgot you?" "Nothing, Grandma. I'm stupid and I sometimes blabber." He hugged Edith tightly and didn't say anything further. As time went on, Aiden began to devote more time to his music because he believed it would aid his grandmother's memory. at least to the point where she would recognize him. Luckily, he also received an email from a producer who invited him to collaborate on an album. Aiden was over the moon. He dashed over to Edith and informed her about it. Edith was really happy, and she baked a cake for Aiden that day. Aiden's eyes welled up when he saw her like that, because the last time Edith had baked something for him was before he started university. Aiden reasoned that his grandmother's memory was improving. So when she finished baking, he asked if he could eat it without the icing. Edith despised it when anyone touched her cake before it was finished with icing decorations and everything. But that day she agreed to Aiden's request, and Aiden realized she was still having trouble remembering things. The next day, Aiden went to the producer's office. To his surprise, the producer loved his voice and offered him a contract right away. He went home happy and bought Edith's favorite flowers for her. After all, he was about to get his first paycheck and was on his way to becoming a singer. He entered quietly through the back door and gently ascended the stairs to her room. The door was half open. He quietly opened it without making a sound and found Edith sleeping inside. He walked over to her side and silently turned off the bed lamp while keeping the bouquet on the side table. However, as he turned to walk away, he noticed Edith's hand dangling from the bed. After lifting her hands back, he tried to cover it with the blanket, but something didn't feel right. He pressed his fingers against her nose, terrified to see if she was breathing. Unfortunately, Edith was no longer alive. Aiden embraced her and began sobbing uncontrollably. "I'm so sorry, Grandma. I was a bit late, but I promise I will make you proud one day. I promise." Well, Aiden kept his word. His first song, which he dedicated to his grandmother, became a hit. He quickly rose to the top of the charts and received several offers from various agencies. Finally, on the day he was about to perform his first concert, he visited his grandmother's grave and left her a note. "I made it, Grandma. Your grandson made it. I hope you will be proud of me, love, Aiden." What can we learn from this story? Love and care for your near and dear ones because their memories are all you have once they have passed away. Aiden rose to fame as a singer, but he yearned for his grandmother every day. Older people need love and care, and you should never refrain from giving it to them in the same way that Aiden did for his grandmother.